Back from the dead. Back from the dead. Back from the dead.
Good evening, paranormal peeps. It is yours truly, Krystal Leandra with Ghost Girl Diaries, and tonight I have my lovely co-host Eilfie Music with me, and I'll bring her in just a minute. But what's a Friday night without a podcast? So this is a paranormal podcast for those of you that are brave enough to join the circle. It's going to be an awesome night. Kat is modding on all channels, so she'll be able to chat with you guys if you're live tonight. And I hope you notice behind me, the Ghost Girl logo, okay, is floating at my head right now. So basically, I got a green screen and I was able to make this into a green. Isn't that awesome? What? Although the funny part is that if you've been on social media with me today, I did like a very bright, like alien green eye look with like graphic liner. It's not showing up because of the green screen. I was really scared I was gonna look like an alien, okay, with like my eyelids missing, but it worked out. So if you see my eyelids glistening right now, it's because the green screen, but it kind of looks cool. You know, I wish it was like that all the time, you know what I mean? And now I'm going to bring in Eilfie Music. Hello, Eilfie.
Hello, how's it going?
How's it going? Another thing with this green screen though, guys, if you're paying attention, is that my tongue is red. I don't know why. It looks like I look like a vampire right now, okay? I look like I've been feasting on, a body or something. I haven't. So if you see blood, it's not, okay? It's just life. Speaking of that,
you just need the fangs.
Yeah, I just need the fangs. I'm already a vampire, right? Like
that
literally.
It looks so cool.
Did you see it? Doesn't that look awesome?
Oh yeah. Oh my god. Also with the fangs, that could be a whole new look for you.
I don't think so, Eilfie. But speaking of fangs, I wanted, like, I just love tea. And, like, when we do our streams, we all, like, we have a few things we want to talk about. But speaking of blood and fangs, Megan Fox did an interview stating that her and MGK drink each other's blood. I don't know if you heard that.
Oh, yeah, I think I heard. Wait, I remember hearing about that. Do they carry around each other's blood or just drink it?
I don't know, man.
No, I remember, it was. And. Was it Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton? They would carry vials of each other's blood around. Mm-hmm. So Megan Fox took the extra step and they just drink each other's blood.
Yeah, and I just wanted to state something of just my knowledge. They claim to be twin flames. I don't really think they are, I'm going to be honest, because they met really sporadically on a movie set. Remember, twin flame journey is like, it happens and then you separate for a long time and it's not guaranteed you come back together. Like, it's a complicated mess. Usually when you do meet your twin flame, you trigger each other to the point where you almost hate each other because you're literally mirroring each other's bad qualities. But anyway, she's kind of been toting it a little bit like it's a twin flame thing. Let's not get that mixed up, okay? Drinking each other's blood is essentially a satanic, ritual. Let's just be honest. And that is not something that you do as a twin flame. I just don't want people to think that that's what you're supposed to do. Like, oh, I found my twin flame. Let's cut each other open and drink it. You know what I mean?
You don't need to do that. I think more is just more they're I feel personally they're just playing up further just the like, oh, we're that strange couple and everything. Because I mean, it's not like Hollywood hasn't already seen its fair share of strange couples where they really ham it up for the cameras because they're like, we know already that you're going to take one little thing and like blow it out of proportion. Why not make it as strange as possible? Because you'll be talking about us now.
It is shock factor. I think they like
totally.
Shock factor for sure. But anyway, that's not normal. Anyway, I just wanted to address that.
long as you're consenting adults and understand, but it's not a requirement.
It's not a requirement, Eilfie. Oh my God, Eilfie, I'm dead.
Just be consenting adults.
Just be consenting and, make sure you don't have to go to the hospital for blood transfusion. You know what I'm saying? You just don't want to go too far. You got to find that balance. So, now one thing I wanted to touch base with you about, because I love getting your opinion. I think that everybody likes to hear your side of it too, because it's kind of funny. Like, Eilfie and I have a really cool relationship because I think she admires what I've done with YouTube, and then I admire her for what she's done with Paranormal State. So it's just a really equal relationship, and I love that because we both had a lot of experience in different capacities. So, last week, Kat and I talked about getting out of our last contract, and you were a part of the contract, and no names of anybody, but I'm sure you can also say that was probably one of the most hellacious negotiations you've ever been through. And I just kind of wanted to I want you to just chat about it. Like, you've also experienced inequality, with misogyny in this industry of film and paranormal. Just put in your 2 cents of like, it's not as easy as people make it out to be.
No, it's not. And I mean, it's okay. So like with TV shows in general, it's not an easy thing. Like they make it sound like at times like you just get discovered and like next week you got an episode going on and everything. You got a TV show and it's all just falls into place. That's not how it works. They just make it look like that. It's a lot of behind the scenes negotiating and renegotiating and figuring out what to do and how you want to present this and all the flash and everything. So, but then, like you said, put on top of our layers, like we're trying to sell this show that is, I don't know if it's just like, they're like, what do we do with this? It's like, we are telling you what to do with this. How hard can that be?
Yeah, we have been told, now that you've been with us as a witness, we have been told over and over as Ghost Girl Diaries that we are almost too innovative, is what we've been told, is that we are beyond ahead of our time.
I thought that was a good thing.
Like, I thought equality was a good thing. You know what I mean? Like, in more capacities than one, like, we tote a lot, not only women in film and women in paranormal, but Eilfie, we've always talked about this, represents LGBTQ. I'm Indigenous. Kat is Hispanic. Like, we have a really good mixing pot going on here to sell. And it's strange. But, you did what, like, 68 episodes or something crazy with Paranormal State, right?
Yeah.
And it's not easy getting re-signed that many times, and it's still complicated. Like, there's preliminary negotiations, and then there's another, like, so there's many contracts throughout the whole ordeal. So you have, like, your first little contract, which is like a seller's contract with them saying they're going to try to sell it for you. Then you get in another contract with, like, the networks, so that when one network's interested, you can't negotiate with another network. I mean, it's literally an insane process, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you're jumping from one hoop to the other because it's like, okay, you talked with us, now you gotta talk with them, now you gotta talk with them, and so on and so forth. And especially it's a whole different ballgame because we're dealing with a reality docu-series and like a scripted fictional series. 2 different beasts altogether. So it's just aggravating how long it's like. It's one of those like, hurry up and wait, but now we want it yesterday. It's like, which is it?
It is. That was what we went through too, which was we had most of the responsibility fell on me, thank God, because I would never want to put you guys through what I went through. But yeah, they're like, hurry. So you like you have 48 hours to like get this thing done, and then it's finally done. Whatever it is, they have different tasks. Like it's all film related negotiations, or locations, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you get it
they
done.
want all this stuff in like yesterday, and they're like, great, and then it's like, don't hear from them for like how long?
Yeah. Well, and now that's the worst part is when you normally, and you and I have talked about this before, is they either want you or they don't. There's no middle ground.
Yeah. No, there really isn't, and it's sometimes I think sometimes it is hard to tell because it's like, oh yeah, this is awesome. It's like, okay, are you telling me the truth, or are you just like going like, yeah, let's throw this to the back, but we'll say like we like this. It's like, do you actually like this or not? Just tell me to my face.
We got stuck in a contract last year, and we talked about that Kat and I talked about that, and that's why I wanted Eilfie to put in her 2 cents. And that you've never been in a contract that long. I mean, a year is a normal time period for a seller's contract. We had moved to the point with Ghost Girl Diaries where we were negotiating with networks. When you get to that point, okay, it is shit or get off the pot. There is no waiting. Right? I mean,
putting it delicately.
It's true.
No, it is true because there's a lot of kind of like time windows that you have to they have to meet, because there's the pre-production, production, filming, post editing, and they need to get it into certain times, because even though it feels like these days with streaming, there is still a season time frame for shows, so they want to get the show in at certain times so it's then released for like a fall or spring release. So it's like, what are you doing where there's like the window's not that big?
You're dragging your feet. Yeah. Well, and then there's fiscal year. So every year, depending on the network, they'll release a certain amount of new funds for new shows. So this is going back to talking about Zach. He was just approved for doing a bunch of multiple series, right? Like outside of Ghost Adventures. So basically Discovery, not just Travel Channel, the umbrella of Discovery said, we are setting aside, I'm assuming, millions of dollars if he's doing multiple.
No doubt.
Yeah, easily. Our budget for Ghost Girl Diaries for season 1, for what we were asking for, was about $1 million. So it's spent really easy. You have to remember, you have salaries for camera techs, and you have to have money for per diem, which is per day. You're paying the staff. You have to, it's cost of staying, paying for security. I mean, all of that stuff adds up really, really fast. And the crazy part about our budget is that we actually have a lot of equipment that we don't even have to include in our budget, and it's still a lot of money. But you also have to compare one season of Paranormal. The first season's always the most expensive, because obviously if you're buying an RV to travel, you're not going to be buying a new RV every season. So first season's always the worst.
Yeah, all the basically upfront, like you said, equipment, sound equipment, recorders, cameras, basically everything. If the group doesn't already have it, it has to be purchased.
And the two most expensive things are usually not equipment. It's usually post-production salary. Yeah. And talent salary. So for us, it would be paying Eilfie, Kat, and I to be there because we have an established audience. Which is negotiable, and usually you can negotiate the talent salary down first if you need to get a lower budget, because what we want to do is be willing to financially, get it funded so that we can at least get, if we get season 1 done, we're like good to go. You know what I mean? Like, we're smooth sailing. We know we'll get signed for a second season. But, you get these, this is what I wanted to Eilfie to kind of to chat about, because she gets it. And not that I'm discrediting Kat. Kat's been in negotiations with me too, but Eilfie has been in the game, honestly, longer than I've been in film. And, at the end of the day, you are asking old white men for a lot of money. And they are the ones in control of it at the networks. And they're investors, they're executive producers. And asking, especially the way we were, our production company was pitching it like we were 3 witches sitting around on like the movie The Craft on a beach, summoning whales out of the ocean. You know what I mean? Like,
the beach sounds nice. I mean, nighttime beach sounds really nice.
Just the beach, okay? But I don't want to kill any whales, okay? Like, I like it. But
it was like, wait, are we going to have suddenly a bunch of sharks like wash up? Because that would be very sad.
That would be very upset.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Please don't.
But it was like, Eilfie and I talked about it when they were pitching us like this, and we were like, you're not listening. This is not going to sell. We knew that no one was going to buy this series like that. Unfortunately, people are still against witchcraft. It's not also, by the way, we're trying to sell a paranormal series here, not a witchcraft show. And it was almost like Eilfie was really pissed, guys. Like, she was really peeved. Because she was like, Krystal's gothic. She's not even really a witch. And like, Kat and Eilfie, they practice witchcraft, but they're like, my aesthetic shouldn't be like something that you can make money out. Like, go ahead, I'm gonna let you rant because I know you need to get this out.
God. Oh, that was the thing. There's a difference. I feel like there was. I don't know if there was a confusion or just like but I feel like there's a difference between there is a witchy aesthetic where it's the vibe of whatever, um, the kitschy, dark, gothic type thing, but there's a difference between that and actual practicing witchcraft. I mean, witchy aesthetic would be what you see on Instagram or TikTok and everything of that visual with the book of shadows and the incense and the candles and the rocks and everything. That's the beautiful aesthetic, but that's not most actual practitioners' day-to-day life. That's just a visual thing, and I can see as like, oh, I can see the aesthetic be thing because I can see it's like enjoying that, but it doesn't equal then you must be witchy. It's like, no, not all of us are witchy.
Well, yeah, you're not even have like I have like the super black wardrobe and like black, you're not even like, neither Kat. I mean, Kat wears black, but she still does her little earth witchy thing. She likes her greens and her like neutral tones. They were just trying to sell us in a way that we weren't. Yeah, I'm a goth hippie.
I mean, hippie, like Stevie Nicks, so we'll go with that.
Well, yeah, but it was like they were trying, and then when we're in negotiations, we're like, all right, so you want us to be a witchcraft show? How does that tie into ghost hunting? Because Eilfie was like literally like so mad. She was like, at its core, it is a paranormal ghost hunting show. Like,
yeah. I mean, I can do spells, I can do magic stuff, but I mean, it's going to look really boring on camera because you're not going to see much of anything like you see in the movies.
Exactly. That's what I think they wanted, was us to recreate like the craft, and it's not real. Like,
that's not how it works.
It's not real. Yeah, Eilfie was really pissed about it, and they weren't listening. They weren't listening because they wanted to sell the aesthetic. They wanted us to literally become the craft, and it was like,
It's like, do you know how that movie ended? It did not end well.
Yeah, but
at least not for all of them.
It was just not, how when I sold the production company, that was not, I said image-wise, maybe we look like the craft, we dress like, but it doesn't mean...
Like the freaking intro or something, or the visual stuff and everything, but not like, this is how we're going to be walking into the haunted house. Like, no. Most of us will probably be wearing hoodies and jeans because you know how dusty those places get.
It's true. I always wear Doc Martens.
Not wearing my nice stuff in there.
No, 100%. 100%. But yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, because like you said, it's the people at the top, and they're like, I don't get it. And then the other thing is they're trying to also appease the people who they're selling for commercials because they have to make commercial revenue and everything. And they're like, is this commercial friendly? It's like, you have all these other paranormal shows. How is this? Seriously, you sell like car commercials on these.
Well, then they
shows.
started asking us stuff like, okay, well, they think they want to buy it, but like, can each of you be a specific kind of witch? And I was like, what does that mean? I don't even know what that means. Like, we're not going to portray ourselves like, for example, they went on. I know. I don't think I told you this because I was scared you're going to get mad.
Stuff where you hear like, this is the earth witch and this is the kitchen witch and this is the fire. Like, that's no.
I know, but that wasn't even what they wanted. Like, for example, they had interviewed all three of us, and that's actually accurate what Eilfie's saying, because Eilfie is kind of like the vegan, hippie witch. Like, she loves to make her vegan food and like her magic spells in the kitchen, and then Kat is like Miss Earth Witch, and like, I don't know what the hell that makes me. But what they had done with the interview was they had interviewed us and asked us if we had past lives. And I had said, yeah, I was pretty sure that I had lived like in Atlantis. So then they wanted me to do spells on camera where I'm laying underwater, fully submerged, doing spell work. And I was like, because I was from Atlantis in a past life, and I was like, yeah, this is really like almost scripted at this point, and like, this is not where I thought we were going with this.
Wait, did they ask if you'd wear a mermaid tail too while doing this?
Actually,
And
I
it,
would have done it
oh,
with the tail. I would only have done it with the
it would
tail.
have to be the like one of those cool gothy like iridescent like blue and black ones I've seen.
Oh,
Like
I've seen the black
make you
mermaids.
like
Oh,
gothy
yeah.
little mermaid under the
Yeah.
water while you're trying.
First of all,
How the
I
hell
don't
are you
even.
going to do a spell underwater? Really?
That I'd like to know, honestly. And they said specifically bathtub, and I was like,
No. So we're going to try not to drown Krystal while she does this.
So I'm underwater talking, blah, 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 like doing a spell. Like, what's going on? Like, what do you? But once again, that tells you that they're looking at Hollywood a little too closely. Like, come on, guys, those are like scripted movies that you're trying to recreate here. It's not real life.
And the thing is, I like the occult movies. I like the witch movies like Craft and everything, but it's like that's a fantasy visual. That's not what we do. And I know, and the problem always has been every time when those movies come out, everyone's like, "Can you do that? Can you float? Can you like
Can I
it's like,
float?
No.
Go on an elevator.
If I could, do you think I could probably save a lot on airfare?"
God, Eilfie. Kat said
Sorry.
we'll call it Bathtub Atlantis.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, it was
As you tried to contact your former life in Atlantis.
Yeah, what if I have trauma? Because I'm pretty sure I drowned in a past life too. Okay, so that's gonna bring up some trauma, man. Like, what if I don't come out of that alive again? It's fine.
So this episode also deals with how to deal with aftercare when you've had a moment of your past life coming back at you.
I thought I was drowning for the second time. I thought we weren't gonna do this again, but it's fine. I think also they were thinking like Stranger Things vibes when she goes underwater and it's like white noisy, you know what I mean? Like she mutes the like, yeah, I know.
Okay, I'm totally down for the idea of what are those called? Deprivation tanks, where you like looks like an egg and everything. You're sitting in salt water, and you're just kind of floating there, and you can't hear or see or anything. Those are cool.
I'd like to float in an egg. I would like to float in an egg. I mean,
but it's like you get really cool experiences, but it's like that's gonna be so boring because they're just going to film you floating in salt water. And,
I know.
Ask you, so what you feeling?
I know. Yeah. So you know what? And that's why when the wrap up with it is, you know, I asked Kat, I want to ask you the same thing. Are you happy that we saw the end of the contract coming? Thank God. We saw it coming. I was praying for it. I was ready for it to end. And, I mean, how do you feel about the contract ending? I'm happy that it ended.
No, I'm glad it ended. That means we can now move on and take our project somewhere else and just be free. We're free now.
Be free. I'm done. Thank you. All right, moving on.
We're done. It's been decided. Moving on now.
Well, yeah, and it's true, and it's kind of in the end of like, you know, I was disappointed when we saw it kind of coming. I would say like October, and then we just knew
there was feelings. There was like there's something rumbling.
Well, and we just knew it wasn't right. I feel like instinctively, like with your gut and intuition, like you know when something's right and you know when something's wrong. And I've told you guys from the beginning, like I've waited for the right contract for so long that I'm not gonna, you know, just jump and get it signed by like whatever. So, I mean, I wasn't going to just be settling for anything anyway. And this was kind of proof in the end that sometimes things end or don't work out for a reason. And it's better in the end when it doesn't work out, because I really think that if we would have stayed in this contract and I would have agreed, and partially why this contract ended was I bucked them on everything. I was like, no, I don't like that. No, I don't like that. I don't want to be a one and done season. We've seen that happen with other people in the past, and I know what it needs. And
yeah, honestly, also I would say that's probably one of the biggest things I don't think people realize much about is that you can make changes. You can request changes. Don't sign the first contract that is put in front of you because, yeah, just don't. Like, you can ask for changes and make your requests and make, like, I will only do it because of this. Like,
well, yeah, don't be afraid to say no, because otherwise...
Yeah. It's not going to be forever. It's not like, oh my God, if I don't sign this, I'll never... It's like, no. I
literally backed out of my contract with Sci-Fi with, what was the show? Killer Contact. And thank God I did. I left LA the day before we were supposed to go to Europe. I mean, that's brash. Like, I mean,
yeah.
Because I just had this gut instinct feeling something was wrong. And thank God, because poor Molly took my place and she had to dress up like a prostitute for Jack the Ripper. Now, if I was on set in London and they asked me to dress up like a prostitute, do you know the absolute shit fit I would have thrown? I mean, I would have absolutely lost my mind. And I would have been an ocean away. Like, I wouldn't have been close to home.
Yeah. Like, can I get that ticket now back, please?
Yeah, I'm leaving. I'm done. But that's the worst part, is that sometimes when you get in these contracts, which is also why you have to be so, careful when you're signing them.
Yeah.
And that's why I haven't settled until now. And I'm still not settling. But, is that if you get in those contracts, like, if I was in Europe and that happened, there's a chance I would have had to dress like a prostitute and go investigate Jack the Ripper. I mean, because you're in contract, you're legally bound to them. Like, I don't think you understand how, like, you know, Eilfie, like, what do the contracts look like with the networks? They're massive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And if they so deem, you can be penalized and everything. It's not a cut and dry thing, and it's one of those, like I said, always read your contracts. Always make your demands of what you want done, because you don't want to be stuck in something you're not happy with.
And you'll be stuck for a long time, and it could be detrimental to your career, which is why you have to also think twice. All right, we got that out. So anyway, thank God that is over. That was rough, though. Wasn't it rough? I mean, specifically. The worst of the negotiations they started in July, August, September, kind of ended in October.
It really is the waiting. That's, to me, it's the rough part, because I don't like, I understand that it takes time, but that's to me, that's like, okay, what's going on? Is there anything going on? And like, were we just like putting on our thumbs? What's happening?
That was terrible. And I'm never negotiating with those people again. Those will be named nameless, okay? Because that was, I have some trauma I have to undo with my shadow work on that one. But anyway, okay, next one, Katrina from Paranormal State. So she's on with Jack Osborne. Obviously, she has that series. It's what is it? Portals to Hell. Is that right?
Yep, Portals to Hell.
So, and I haven't seen the new season, but you've watched the first few episodes, and you said she's sort of taking the lead.
Yeah, no, she really, it feels like she is more, because, I mean, Jack Osborne has definitely done his fair share of, like, paranormal stuff and everything, but, like, Katrina really has, I think, in this season, like, I think in other seasons, too, that she has definitely been the one that they really let her ask the questions, lead the especially the walkthroughs and everything, because she really does know what she's talking about, and they want to showcase that, I think. And in this season, I feel like they are definitely pushing that even more. They're like, no, really, she actually knows her stuff.
Now, you worked with her for quite a few episodes. She seems to me like she is just super down to earth. Is that how she is in real life?
Oh, yeah, very much. And, like, she was always just an amazing interviewer. She was definitely one of the ones where it wasn't just the regular question. She would ask even more, like, she would build on, she would really get to know the people she was talking to and interviewing and everything. She was very good at that.
So now, this was like a couple of months ago, she had said and released that she was going to be doing her own series on YouTube, and she was about to release it. We don't know what happened. I assume it was with her contract with Travel Channel. They probably wanted to view the series first before she could release it online. So anyway, it got postponed. And so she did a live event yesterday, or was it 2 days ago? Was it yesterday? 2 days.
It released on the 27th, so 2 days ago.
And then she released her part 1 of the series. And do you want to talk? I mean, I watched it, but I wanted you to chat about it because I know you were really excited for her.
Well, it was awesome. It's only part 1, so it's like it definitely is just building up to the actual investigation they haven't actually done yet. And it's just it was awesome seeing both Kat and Taddy back together again doing this.
And Heather Taddy was also from Paranormal State. So if you guys,
Heather Taddy.
And you got to work with Heather too. She's sweet. She looks like she's super
sweet. Oh, She's awesome. She was always more interested. She definitely did very well in front of the camera, but she was very much more interested of doing the behind the camera production audio stuff. Like that was definitely more her thing too.
Wow, so she liked the film side, like the audio.
Oh,
film.
yeah.
Oh, cool, very cool. So they got together, and they're filming this episode. I did watch it. I'm really, I support women in film, in paranormal, and I'm just really happy. I'm really happy for Katrina. You know, like I'm not a huge fan of Jack Osborne. I've said that before. I don't think that Jack's show would be anything without her. I think she absolutely is the bread and butter of it. And for her to go off on her own and do something independently is amazing. I love it. You know what I mean? Even Eilfie was like super excited. They invited you on a future episode. Hopefully, I saw.
I saw them. I'm like, oh, that's cute. That's very sweet.
They're like, oh my god, Eilfie! Like everybody loves Eilfie.
No, I just love that. I really hope that this means that at least it gives another opportunity showing that this could go from just like YouTube to like main, like TV and everything. And also, I love the fact that they're investigating like I have to look it up and everything because it's a place that is investigated that is haunted, but it's not like a, I guess, well known or often investigated place.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks so.
Yeah, it looked like it was fenced off or something. So I'm curious if it's like condemned or something, or if they just keep trespassers out. It looks very old though,
or like very limited on who they let in and everything. It's like this looks really cool.
Yeah, she said it was somewhere in New Jersey, so I think that's interesting. So yeah, it'll be, if you haven't seen it, make sure you go to. I think I linked the trailer on my Twitter, so go to my Twitter and you can find it there. And yeah, I'm just really happy for Katrina. So I just wanted to give her a shout out because there's not many of us girls in paranormal, and she does, especially going off on her own to do something independently, which I find interesting, might I say, because not that it's any of our business, but it makes me think that she's probably struggling the same way we are in a different way, because she's probably wanting to get like her and Heather to do a show. And these producers, man, these production companies, these networks, they do not want an all-female oriented show. It is crazy. So she literally was like me, I'm doing it on my own.
Yeah, I think they really are showing, and I hope it leads to a spin-off of some kind of something bigger, but I'm honestly looking forward to part 2 and everything, seeing more of the investigation.
Yeah, well, even I'm happy for Heather too, because good for her, man.
Yeah.
Good for her. Good for both of them. And once you're on the next episode, you're going to let us know, right?
Yes, I will.
Oh my god, it's like almost Paranormal State back together. I'm going to fangirl out. I'm going to pass out. I'm going to actually pass out. Like, oh my god, because literally Paranormal State. I mean, that came out a while ago. That was one of like the OG paranormal shows. Okay. I told you, I had this, I know, she hates talking about herself, and here I am talking about her, but I swear, Eilfie, I'm not kidding. I've told her this story 5 or 6 times before, but I remember watching you on TV years ago, before Ghost Girl Diaries existed, and I was like, I'm going to work with her someday. Like, I just know, isn't that weird? It's like, it's got to be past life predictions, like, I remember watching you on TV, and I'm like, I'm going to work with her. Just wait, I'm going to work with her. And everyone was like, how? That's Eilfie from Paranormal State. Like, I don't know, I'm just going to do it. And then I remember Eilfie, this was years ago too, Eilfie commented, right, I think on my YouTube channel years ago. And it said Eilfie music, and I was like, that's not like the Eilfie. And I looked you up, and I was like, oh my god, it's the Eilfie. Like, wow.
Well, because I really like, when you started doing your YouTube show, I like the fact that it's like, oh my god, she's actually like talking about the behind the scenes, and she's talking about how it's made. And it's like,
see, and that's, I'm so glad you're saying that, because it's a big deal, isn't it? It's not just paranormal.
Like, oh, it's fine, everything's fine, we're great, this is great. And it's like, what?
Right.
And then you come on the scene and be like, no, this is what happened. This is probably what they did, and this is where you see probably the producer hiding over there doing this thing, and just like, oh my god, she's actually like spilling all the beans.
She's actually sharing the beans. Well, and really the I mean, originally, like, I know that the channel, we have a new channel now, it's morphing, by the way. There should be a new episode up tonight or tomorrow, just so everybody knows, on the new channel. I know everyone's been waiting for a new solo video, and it's been filmed. It's in the process of being edited. So it's a short one, though. We're going to start off slow, okay? Because TikTok is consuming my life right now, okay? But in all seriousness, the first, doing the first channel, the first YouTube channel for Ghost Girl Diaries, the point of it is not, like, people literally thought the point of it was Ghost Adventures reviews. Mm-hmm. That was not the point of the channel. The point of the channel is exactly what Eilfie is saying. Teaching you guys about paranormal film. Because the problem is that in order to get better shows, better paranormal shows, we need more filmmakers in the industry. And not just women, men too. So if I'm on this channel teaching everybody about the film side of paranormal, people are going to figure it out. I really thought that my channel was like an educational channel to teach people how to make paranormal film. And that was the point of it. I didn't want to keep this secret. It felt like it was a gatekeep. Doesn't paranormal film feel gatekeeped?
I have to remember, you have to think too, I feel like that time too, it seemed like almost every paranormal group I saw on social media was either they had a pilot, they were filming a pilot, they were in negotiations, like every group was trying to get on TV. And I feel like it's one of those, like, that's cool, I really like that, but like here's some of what to expect, because I don't think the reality or the weight of it would like sink in until they're actually like in deep into it and everything. So I like the fact that you were like, yes, it's possible, but here's what to expect if you're doing this.
Well, and a lot of those people that would try to get shows, unfortunately, there is a major difference between YouTube quality film and actual television film. And that's where you can't, it needs to be up, like you have to up it more. It needs to be more. And another thing, just being a producer. Oh my God, editing's huge. It's huge importance. You can't look like an amateur editor, not only with visual, but with audio levels. Oh my God. When I'm editing our feature right now, and the audio is the hardest part. I'm doing the audio mixing on this one, which is fine. It's just sometimes my ears are like, I've heard like too much. But with that being said, I feel
you on that one.
You have to do better. Like if you're trying to get with the big wigs, you better be able to pay it up.
Now, granted, the difference between like when you first started doing YouTube and now, like I have definitely seen a big difference in the YouTube channels with paranormal groups. Like it definitely has jumped up where camera quality has gotten better, editing's gotten better. Now, I definitely enjoy when they're just like, here's the entire investigation, here's all 3 hours, and it's one of those like, okay, cool. And then ones who actually here's the story and they actually like edit it down
story.
And make it into,
there has to there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. Every story, and I don't mean story like just paranormal location, but every show. So comparing Ghost Hunters to Ghost Adventures to Amy, Bruni, and Adam, right? So Ghost Hunters is everything is a cricket that farted in the wall, right? Like we're gonna debunk it using this cricket that's farting, right? Then you have Zach's show. It's a demon. Oh my God, this is the darkest case we've ever been on. But that's his gig. That's the story.
Wait, wasn't last week the darkest case?
It is, but that's well. Same with Ghost Hunters. It's always a farting cricket or a farting, floorboard, always. And then, or you look at like Amy, Bruni, and Adam, and she's very like quiet, and the girl next door, and Adam's like the first really major, gay guy LGBT, and they're both very kind, and we don't want to offend you, but that's their gig, that's their storyline. So the problem is that you have to find what your like bread and butter is. What are you trying to sell? Even for us with Ghost Girl Diaries, just saying it's a female crew isn't enough. I can't tell you guys what our gig is because I don't give that away on social media. You know what I'm saying? The way I'm trying to sell the series I have a specific way that's never been done before. Even Dakota, right? Dakota with Destination Fear, his gig is, I'm not telling any of my crew where we're going. We're going to get in this ugly RV and film it, and we're going to drive all the way across America, and then I'm going to have Chelsea, open a red letter and talk about where we're going. Like, but that's their thing.
I'm going to torture you with something.
Yeah, but you can't repeat it. So you can't get another Destination Fear. If a new crew comes in with the same gig and the same storyline, it's gonna get thrown out.
Mm-hmm.
We can't.
Well, yeah, you need a hook. You need that hook.
Yes, there has to be something that stands out, which we have a good one, y'all. I'm just saying, we came up with a good one. My mother gave me the idea after she passed on. Thank you, Mom. Which I'm still not sharing it publicly, but you have to be different. You cannot do the same thing that's already been done. And that's what happened for a while too with YouTubers that were trying to get signed in my era of my first channel before Eilfie and Kat came on. Everybody was trying to get a series signed, and they were repeating, trying to create a Zach Bagans over and over and over.
Yep.
There is one Zach Bagans, and there will never be another one. And that era kind of died of guys trying to be this like muscly, greasy hair bicep dude attacking the camera with a demon. You know what I mean?
The Dubro and everything. Well, and I mean, it's made it into pop culture media when horror movies are basically parodying like Ghost Adventures, and they're making the exaggerated Dubro and everything, and you can point out like, oh, Ghost Adventures, okay. And then, of course, it turns into a horror movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you've made it when ... You know what I mean? You can't give him shit because, like, that's when you've made it. Especially he's now, siding with Eli Roth. Like, okay, make fun of him all you want. Then you go do better because I haven't seen anybody that's done it so far. You know what I mean? He's the biggest shark in the water. Who's going to take him out? I don't know. I'd like to just get my series signed with him. I'd like to just co-conspire. I feel like we could make some things happen with my Aquarius moon brain. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, that's the tea. You have to be different. And film, merging. Yes, paranormal knowledge is important. Being a paranormal investigator is important, but film knowledge is equally, if not more, important in order to merge them together. Because you can't go in trying to look like an amateur either.
Well, you have to stand out and you have to give them a reason and everything, because you will be amongst who knows how many hundreds of shows wine also be sold and everything, and you have to stand out some way. So what's your hook? What's your reason? What's your story?
And the production companies
why do we want to listen to you?
Ruthless. Aren't they ruthless when if they don't like you, which, I mean, look, I've been told no probably like 300 times. So, like, my feelings, like, aren't hurt at this point because I'm used to being told no at this point, But if you're a sensitive person and you think you're going to walk in and get a yes like that, oh, you're in for a really, really rude awakening. Like, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt.
Yeah, the whole saying, like, don't call us, we'll call you, that's definitely a thing. And it's not personal, it's just like you did not catch your interest enough and they are moving on to something else, so don't.
I wish they would have said that to me. That's a lot nicer than what they said to me. But that's what's crazy is, like, we have 5 wins under our belt now as Ghost Girl Diaries. And it's still not enough, y'all. It's still not enough. So it's a dog eat dog world, and don't worry, this feature is gonna kill it. Don't worry, I'm not worried about it. Eilfie likes this feature. She's like, that was some scary shit in the graveyard. You guys are kind of weird. How about you don't turn back around and go in there, okay? Let's not do that. So now when we talk about female women in paranormal investigators, of course, we're thinking of, like we just talked about Katrina, obviously. Even Eilfie, like, she's a seasoned paranormal investigator. I know she doesn't like to be idolized, but she's badass. She did a lot of Paranormal State. Heather Taddy. We have Chris Williams from Ghost Hunters. We have Amy Bruni, obviously, is the first female executive producer. She gets that crown. You get it, girl. But if we're looking back in, quote, modern days within, like, the last year, we obviously have to give the queen crown to Lorraine Warren. And that's because she was the first to go public as an investigator. But, Eilfie's really into occultists, and so it's kind of like, wait a second, let's look back even further than that, because the Ouija board was literally invented a few hundred years ago. Like, where did this start from? Obviously, there's occultists that, the occultists that created tarot cards. We came up with a new sisters that I had never heard of called the Fox Sisters. And you kind of went down a major rabbit hole, and I don't think we realized the impact they should have on the paranormal community. I think that people need to know these like major public figures in paranormal to understand where this came from. Are you there?
Well, it's definitely interesting because, if you talk anything about spiritualism, the Fox sisters are like the quintessential. They are the ones that first come up because whether or not, because technically, like, spiritualism was, they got the ball rolling in the public eye.
Mhm.
Like, they were the ones who were doing the sessions in the public and doing private session and everything. They were the ones that really got people's attention of like the possibility of talking to spirits and everything. And it's fascinating just how, even though these figures might have been the starters of this movement, essentially, they didn't vanish from history, but they fell into obscurity, and they unfortunately had kind of it didn't end well for them. It wasn't like they lived happily ever after. No, it didn't happen.
Well, and 1848 is really when this started, to give you a year. And you're thinking about that time, you have 3 women coming out who are saying they're occultists, which, by the way, like, their paranormal knowledge started at, like, in high school. They were, like, 14, 11 years old. They're very young kids. And in 1848, I mean, you could literally still be called a witch at that time and probably be murdered for, claiming to be an occultist and talk with the dead. Remember, women didn't have a voice at that time. I mean, we're still fighting equality right now. So just kind of put yourself in the image and the time frame of being a female paranormal investigator in 1848. Can you say that was probably dangerous?
Well, it was one of those things where you have, like, so the 2 main sisters, Kate and Maggie, who were, I think, Kate was 11, Maggie was 14, were the ones who were experiencing what was going on in their home and everything. And I think people didn't, well, they probably could have thought of witchcraft, but mostly they were just shocked by that these 2 kids, the parents were hearing rapping and bangings and everything, and these 2 kids were like, oh, do as I do, and they would like rap 3 times and the thing would repeat. And you got like the neighbors coming in and everyone's going, what is going on here? And just causing all of this stir that everyone was just probably more just fascinated with the fact that they were communicating with an invisible force that they just didn't think that there was anything. It was just mind-boggling. Like, they could not figure out what was going on, and they even like took them away to their sister's house and everything, and it just like followed them and everything.
And this happened in New York too, just in case you guys. Their photo
Yeah,
too.
Hydesville, New York, and then Rochester.
It looks so like Lizzie Borden-esque because they have like these old Victorian, like, the thick dresses. You can just see it. The hair is done like slicked buns and like braids. I put a picture of the Fox sisters on our social media. It looks classic, like 1848.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I'm shocked because like I didn't even hear about this. I mean, I didn't even know about these people. I know that sounds terrible, and that's why I was like, we have to do a stream on this.
Well, they're very fascinating characters because it's interesting because if you look at the 2 girls, Kate and Maggie, they were experiencing this, and they were talking to it, and they actually called him the spirit at one point, Mr. Splitfoot and everything.
I know, what a creepy name.
Yeah, which is basically a nickname for the devil and everything. So they call him Mr. Splitfoot until through communications they figured out that it was a peddler that had been murdered and buried under buried in the basement of their home that they were living in.
But
in
how
Hydesville.
specific when you don't even have electrical equipment to getting like EVP? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, also you have to think too that the way they first started communicating with these spirits, like the knocking and rapping, they basically would have to go through the entire alphabet and wait for a knock at a letter and like painfully spell out words and then sentences to figure out what the answer was.
mhm.
Like that just sounds mind numbing, honestly.
Well, it's almost like a really slow old school Ouija board, like, but not a Ouija. Like, yeah, I don't.
Oh yeah, they upgraded letter.
Yeah, thank
later.
God.
They got better at it.
Thank God, but yeah, like wow, the patience that they had, and how did their minds work like that to think, to be able to create a tool for communicating?
Well, it wasn't them. It was other people much later who just figured out how to. They basically were trying to figure out quicker ways to communicate because like going through the alphabet again and again and waiting for knocks, that was getting very slow. And then later on, groups created the idea of the planchette, which is actually I think a French tool that's the pencil, and then they incorporated letters, and they would like.
Okay,
roll
I was
around
gonna ask you this. This is like a random question. You may not know how to
Okay.
answer to it, but like, because I was reading through this, do you think we could recreate that somehow?
the planchette.
Like,
and
yeah,
everything?
like the old school like pencil planchette thing. Do you think we could?
Oh, totally.
You could.
Oh yeah, no, you can definitely find them because okay, so when people think of planchette, they think of um the the Ouija board today with the small plastic toy.
Mhm.
The planchette back then was like huge and was on like 3 wheels with a pencil in it, and you just rolled around with that.
See,
It
that
totally
is.
could be recreated.
We need to recreate that because I just feel like, because it's like, I mean, you know, technology's cool. I love tech. Obviously, we have like the best thing, which is the SLS. We use that for our investigations. But
Mm.
I don't know. Sometimes it's kind of cool to just strip it down to like some old school stuff, isn't it?
Well, oh yeah, no, I honestly, one of the things I've always wanted to try to do is because one of the early ghost hunters I always found fascinating, who was both famous and infamous, was Harry Price from the early 20th century, and this guy was one of the first you would say that was a ghost hunter that used equipment in his investigations, and he had like old school recorders and audio microphones and everything, and just this early 20th century electronic devices that are like dinosaurs today.
Wow.
But I've always wanted to use that, or like the analog tapes and everything that you saw like in the 70s with the Warrens or with Hans Holzer and whatnot. Like that stuff I feel like would be really cool because sometimes I wonder is as we digitalize our equipment or as we upgrade it, like do we lose any of that connection with spirit communication compared to what would people were getting with analog?
I've always wanted to
comparison.
do like I mean, where the hell do you find a tape recorder at this point? You know what I mean? But like, but I've
Goodwill or eBay.
yeah, that's true. But then how do you find blank tapes? But like when I feel like
Oh god, that would be the worst part.
that would be the worst part. But I would want to try the tapes just to like compare the quality of like
yeah.
the EVPs. You know what I mean? Like I assume
Like
it
have
to
a
work.
digital one and an analog
Yes. Yeah. Oh
one.
my
and
god.
See what it'd be like.
Yes.
Oh yes, I'm down for that.
See, I like weird experiments like that, like using old school stuff versus new school stuff, and like
Well, Harry Price was one who would put flour down near the doorways or steps or anything to try and see if any footprints would appear. And he'd be the one who would put like strings or across doors. Like he did all sorts of stuff to try to prove or disprove if the place was haunted. I'm like, I want to do that now.
I do too. I like weird stuff like that. I think it'd be fun to incorporate old school, and not only that, but like give an alma mode to those people and like bring them back to life, because I feel like a lot of us, not just me, because I don't know all of them. Eilfie's very well versed in all these occultist paranormal investigators, but I think that the public needs to know and understand these people because all of our investigations started from somewhere. And like these people need to be given a little bit of a crown. Like without these baby steps of a string on a door, baby powder, or flour on the floor, we wouldn't be where we're at today.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I think sometimes people think like ghost hunting didn't start until like the 2000s with like ghost hunters and whatnot, and it's like, no, this has been going on for some time. There was Hans Holter, there was Warrens, there was Harry
Or,
Price.
okay, another thing, Polaroids, okay? But I think
Yes.
they stopped. Yes. See, like, we
Oh.
have ideas, guys. Like, imagine what our series would look like. Like, I don't...
They brought it back. I think they brought back the Polaroid.
It's not it's called something else now, but yes, they do have the Polaroid something else.
Wait, is it an actual Polaroid camera, or is it a digital that just prints out a Polaroid?
See, we'd have to check.
Picture.
Okay.
Okay.
But I bet you, once
that makes
again,
a difference.
hitting eBay, you could probably find a Polaroid. Oh, I have a Polaroid camera. I have a
Oh, yeah.
Don't judge.
Same here.
Don't judge me.
I need the film still.
Wait a second, Eilfie. I have a Spice Girls Polaroid camera from 1998. Okay.
Yeah.
I do. I have it. So I just need some film.
Take that on investigation.
I think I have my mom's Polaroid camera too from like the 80s buried somewhere. But like, yeah, I mean, that once again, you standing with the Polaroid taking snaps as I'm taking digital shots, comparing evidence. I don't know. I just think it's cool.
Oh, I'm totally down for that. I mean, I would love to compare and contrast them and everything.
Well, yeah,
But
which one's better in the end? What if the tape deck is better than like a digital, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because I think I've even heard people talk about with digital audio recorders, as the audio recorders get more advanced, they are getting more particular about when they record, cleaning out basically anything that is not what they're supposed to be recording, which is human voice and everything. So they actively clear the audio file and everything as they record, compared to analog, which just records everything. And especially with one of the big things where you had to have an external mic, because if you had an internal mic, then you would also hear it recording the internal sounds of the machine. So it's always wondered, like, is because audio recorders are getting much better at cleaning up the audio sound as they record,
does it accidentally eliminate? Yeah.
Basically.
It could. So
I'm like,
I still have my very first night vision handy cam.
Cool.
Oh, it's old as F. Oh, it's so old. I mean, it's like probably from like 98 or something. Because remember back...
That's ancient for electronics.
It is. But like, it was one of the very first night vision handy cams that ever was created, because if you remember back in like the 90s when Sony was, I think it's a Sony, when Sony was creating it, the very first, which mine's included, the very first few that were developed actually kind of had like X-ray vision, so you could see through people's clothes because the lenses were so good. Yeah, so they had to stop selling them.
You have to be careful what shirts you wore.
Oh, it's still...
Instantly would see your bra and everything.
Well, no, it's still... I mean, night vision is still fairly see-through. Like, I have rules on set, like, no leggings. Absolutely no leggings. You can see everything through leggings. I made a joke one time on the old YouTube channel. I was filming a pilot, and I wore leggings with my camera tech, and I had Spanx underneath my leggings. And you couldn't see the leggings. You could only see the Spanx. And my camera tech's like, "Hey, Krystal," and I mean, he's a guy. He's like, you know, like, I just like, I don't want to embarrass you, you know. And I was like, what? Just what is it? You know? He's like, well, it just kind of looks like you're like not wearing pants. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, it's just like, you just, like, your pants are invisible. And I was like, okay, so what's it look like I'm wearing? He's like, well, I don't know what you're wearing underneath, but, like, are you wearing swimmer shorts? Because it was the Spanx. I know, I was dying. I wanted to be, like, embarrassed, but I was too busy dying laughing. Because he's like, I don't know what, like, thank God you've got something underneath, but it, like, looks like you're wearing swimmer shorts. And I was like, so anyway, yeah, you have to, like, yeah, when you're women, like, guys don't have to worry about that, because usually guys are investigating in jeans. And,
this is stuff you need to be told before you go on camera with anything. Like,
yeah, but
okay,
you know,
we're going, like...
Kat and I have investigated in, like black gothic dresses, and those aren't see-through. It's just
Mm-hmm.
something about the thin legging material that, like, you can
Oh
see.
yeah.
You can see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can see
This is why I wear jeans.
Yeah.
Also because like no.
Also, no, don't
I
wear
don't want to
swimmer
like
shorts.
tear myself up.
Don't wear Spanx, okay, on set.
No.
In fact, I when I was first training Kat and a few other people that are no longer with us, I made them go on night vision, not recording. I put the camera on night vision, and I connected it to the TV. It wasn't recording, and I made them come out and look at themselves on night vision. And I made them wear leggings and everything. And the cat was like, holy shit, like, you can see everything. I was like, yeah, see? There's a reason
Yeah.
there's a rule, and that's just the rule. And there was a particular person in the past that did not like that rule. She only wanted to wear leggings. And I was like, then you're going to have to be filmed from, like, chest up because, you know,
It's just like you don't want to
give a show,
like
free show.
No, well, it's one of those like, oh my god, just don't.
Healthy.
Well, because and you don't think like honestly like you have to think about it because when you're investigating, you're not really thinking about and stuff until like after the fact when you see the film, you're like, oh wow, no.
Yeah, and that's why I made them look on camera because, and I'm just being real, like, it doesn't matter what size you are. You could be a size 3, and when you're wearing leggings, you look unpleasant.
Well,
And
I feel
everything
like
sort of
that's
hangs
like a
out.
good test run. Like
Yeah.
just test all your clothes that you're going to wear on
Just do a
camera. Just
test.
make sure how does this look. Like,
Just do a test run.
Not visible, anything not good. Awesome.
As anyone that's listening, I usually layer. Layers seem to really help. So I'll wear like 2 camis and then like a long sleeve shirt and then like a t-shirt over that or something. You know what I mean? If you're not wanting to go the hoodie route, because I tend to get, I think I'm like so communicating and I get so into ghost hunting, I get really hot. So I can't wear hoodies usually unless it's like a really cold location. So yeah, I do jeans and like layers, but hoodies are okay too.
Yeah, I prefer layering and hoodie mostly just because I don't care what location it is. I always end up cold.
Yeah.
It like doesn't matter where I am. It's just there's most of the time those buildings have no electricity, no heating. It's like you'll feel it even in the summer. It'll be cold.
Well, and they're dirty usually. Like you're crawling and yeah, I mean we go into crawl spaces and attics are gross and spiders and so yeah, I usually tend to wear long sleeve.
What I've been held.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you've had some experiences. But what's your worst grody location? Not like the name of it, but like what happened.
Well, I remember there was a couple of times where like I either investigated. There was this one time we were in the basement of this one house, and there was So sometimes with the way the newer houses will be built, they'll have the basement, but then there'll be like a hole where the porch will be and everything, so you can get out of the porch as well, and there was something in there. I can't remember what we were needing to check out from, but I apparently decided like I will go in there, and I crawled in, but then I had to crawl backwards out, and it was a moment where it's like, okay, I'm going to need help because I'm going to need to keep my shirt down while you pull me out so I don't accidentally flash everyone.
Yeah.
While you film me crawling ass back out.
There's an area like that in Bobby Mackey's because it's weird, like underneath where it was like the original building and then they built on again and then they built on again. So like as you go deeper, further underneath Bobby Mackey's, you literally can see it literally, you can tell like via year, like what area was newer and built and like what's decrepit and falling down. But when you get to like the real centralized area, there's like an underground half dirt sort of area, and apparently they have 2 entities that are seen like fighting each other, like it's shadow people like boxing it out. They think it was some of the gangsters that would like kill each other. So she said, Wanda at the time had said I could go in there, and I was so stupid. Why did I do that? I crawled in this nasty, it was like dirt and like a crawl space, but like not a crawl space, and there was like bugs and like I was like, why am I doing this myself? But and by the way, there were no shadow people boxing, by the way, once I got in there.
Man, that'd be a letdown because at least like it would Well, that was the thing. There were times where I've crawled in spaces where I'm like looking back and like, how did I not get bitten by a snake
Mhm.
or some rodent or some wild animal hiding
Cat.
down there? Like, how did I not get
Cat said it's the
bitten or scratched?
leprechaun. Cat said it was the leprechaun.
It's
Oh.
always the leprechaun.
Oh my god, our group chats, guys. We're in a group chat together, and just like every once in a while, a foot emoji pops up, and we all know what it means. Oh man. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's go back to the Fox sisters. We got distracted,
Okay.
but it's fine. It's fine. We like to get distracted.
We go down the lovely rabbit hole.
That was the leprechaun hole. You know what I'm saying? Look, all three of us are real strange people, and it's just a miracle that we get along.
The best thing.
We're very psychic. All three of us will like message each other. Like today, Eilfie messaged me about Katrina while I was watching Katrina, and I was like, "Why do you creep me out so bad?" Like we do that to each other all the time. We're like, ugh, you know what I mean?
I'm more amazed we get things done half time because we'll end up like you say going down the rabbit hole. And it's like, wait, what were we originally supposed to be doing?
What were we talking about? I forgot. No,
we were supposed to be talking about something important.
Is it really? Is it ever important? Now, another thing that I found interesting about the Fox sisters, though, is that the Smithsonian actually had like a huge article on them, and I pulled it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why aren't they talked about more in paranormal? Like, these are like important figures, and I feel like it just got kind of thrown to the wayside.
I think the thing is, it's like they're talked about, but they're usually talked about briefly because, like, once spiritualism gets started, it's like it snowballs and becomes bigger. Because you also have to think it went from knocks and bangs to suddenly trance mediumship. Like it went one thing after another, and you suddenly had not just Fox sisters because they would travel around and they would do their shows and everything, and it went from it wasn't never enough. It was like, oh, okay, you can do knocks and bangs, but can you do more? So now you had trans mediumship going on where you had people, mostly young women who were channeling spirits coming through and talking through them and everything. They were just all these mediums just started popping out of everywhere. They're like, oh my god, and it just went beyond them. It honestly went beyond them because you had both people who were like suddenly overnight becoming mediums, but then you also had people saying this is hogwash. This is not real. What you're talking about. This is people faking and everything. So it was very interesting that right out the gate there was both hard like believers and skeptics like side by side just going at it.
Which is still to this day. I mean, for God's sake,
Oh yeah.
I told you we made it to Christian TikTok by accident on Ghost Girl Diaries. Oh my god. I had to block the word Bible and demon because I was just tired of reading those comments. I was like, it's done. So now all those comments get flushed down the toilet. I don't even have to look at them anymore because they're
a whole bunch of comments going like, you need Jesus.
Yes. Yeah. I'm going to block that word next. You know what I mean? Like literally.
Come on, guys.
I know. Oh, they're like, oh, you're doing spirit box sessions. Be careful you're not communicating with a demon. I had an indigenous person of all things come on and lecture me the other day, and I'm like, do you know I'm also indigenous, ho? Why don't you shut your mouth? And shut your mouth when you're talking to me, okay? Like, just because I'm blonde doesn't, you know, whatever. Anyway, sorry, I'm ranting again.
It's one of those things, it's obviously they actively look for this because they can block the same words. They can block paranormal, they can block ghost hunting, they can block all this. So they honestly must be actively looking for these posts. And it's like, why? Why are you wasting this energy on this?
Oh,
like,
and that's why I won't argue. Except Kat Kat got triggered the other day. She called me. She's like,
oh no.
I wanted to, she gets on her religious soapbox, and it's like, and I was like, Kat, don't fight with people, and just let it go. Just let it go. Just block them. Just let it go. But another thing I found.
Don't let them get to you.
No, I don't. Who cares? It's usually the trolls that talk the most smack. I always go to their profile. Because I'm like, okay, let's see, how good your content is that you're posting. They never have a damn video posted, but yet they want to criticize
they're trolls.
you.
They just, they're just trolls.
They're just trolls, Eilfie. Eilfie gets it, okay? She's been in the game longer than I have. One thing I did find interesting about the Fox sisters, though, is, I don't really think that the term paranormal investigator existed back then. And they were kind of hesitant to call themselves mediums, although they were channeling. But what the term that kept coming up over and over again as they're connecting with the dead is spiritualists.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why I found that really compelling. It was almost like they were very independent, and they were like, I'm gonna create my own term, and I'm gonna go on my own term, and like I just don't care what you think about it. And I liked it.
Well, and this is the thing I find interesting. It's like spiritualism and spiritualists is still very much alive today. I mean, there are people who are spiritualists that go to the churches and they have sessions and everything. And I think sometimes people think that when they talk about spiritualism, like it was something long time ago that like died out with the 20th century. It's like no, it lost theme and popularity, but there is still lots of spiritual. I mean, there's Lilydale that's been going on for like almost 200 years now. That's still going strong. That every summer people come by the hundreds to communicate with spirits and to talk to mediums and everything. It's still a branch of belief that is still going strong.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I just think it's, these girls started communicating with the dead in their own house in 1848, and were not afraid of it, which I love. They were like their own little like Wednesday Addams, like they're just like little girls after our own heart. Because I was that kid. Yeah, I know you were too. And
well, they're like, oh, do this, and their mother is like freaking out, going, "What is going on? What is this rapping one?" And they're like, "Oh, just knock and make noises." They're like, their parents are freaking out, and they're like having fun with this invisible spirit. And this is honestly also sometimes where people think whether or not what they did was real or not, because they were so chill with it and everything. And like, I don't know, they were like pre-teens. They probably didn't think, they just thought they were having fun. They didn't think that deep about it.
Probably not. They probably didn't realize what they were sort of creating. A woman named Ruth Brandon made a book called The Spiritualists that are about them. And she did a bunch of like really hardcore research, which is interesting that she could even find research on them, because I feel like they're just not spoke about. And Leah, one of the sisters, essentially, she claims, exploited her other two sisters by sort of founding a new religion in the name of what they were kind of creating, right? Essentially.
Yeah. Leah was the eldest. She was about 30 at the time when this all occurred, and she was married and living in Rochester, I think it was, New York, and that's actually where they ended up leaving. It got too hectic at their house in Hydesville. Probably more of dealing with people wanting to experience this than anything else. So they left, hoping that whatever was haunting that cabin would stay there. But when they went to Rochester, it just kind of followed them and everything. And Leah, I think, saw this opportunity of like, hey, we can make some money out of this, because there are obviously people who want to see this, want to experience this, and we now can charge them and everything.
So literally, you're talking 1848, about March, I think it said online, when it started, when they started communicating with the dead. By November 14th of 1849, so like literally like a year and a half later, if that, that's when they start creating, like they've literally become famous at this point, and they're doing like public events of demonstrations with their ghosts, essentially, where they are communicating publicly. Is that crazy? You guys, 1849. It's almost like a paranormal freak show. They're literally selling tickets to like demonstrate their paranormal abilities. This is amazing. This is freaking amazing. Because, in 1849, you think that, so people have always had a fascination with the other side. That tells me everybody's always, like, whether you're scared of it or not, there's an interest.
Oh yeah, because you also have to remember there's been wars, there's been famine, there's been great changes just in the United States. I mean, the U.S. alone was still pretty new country in itself. Like, it was still, the Revolution War wasn't there were probably people still who remember knowing people from the Revolutionary War. So, like, all of this was still new and fresh, and then you have this coming around, and this is what I find fascinating with the spiritualism movement is, like we were talking before, it's like the idea of women talking publicly was very like taboo. Like you didn't do that. You didn't speak in public as a woman. Really, it was now didn't mean that it didn't happen. It was just not.
Well, you
it was kind of
almost,
frowned
let's just
upon.
be real, you had to kind of have permission from your husband to have an opinion. You were really
Yeah, really
required
in
to
public.
walk, yeah, you were really required to walk in a shadow, really not till the female
Oh.
movement, honestly.
Well, that was one of the biggest things with the when the women's movement first started was the idea of like when you were when you got married, you kind of stopped existing because you were now Mrs. John Smith. You lost your identity because now you were your husband's identity and everything you did would have to go through him. Your money, your property, everything.
And
I mean,
remember, at this time, let's be real, if you disobeyed your husband in any way, that you would become a public embarrassment, whatever that means, by what you said, did, or didn't do. He could literally claim you as an insanity and throw you in the insane asylum. I mean, literally. Yeah, you would. It wouldn't matter if it was a lie or not. Even if he lied and said you were crazy, he could lock you away permanently in the asylum. If you complained as a woman married to your husband that your period cramps hurt too bad, they would lock you in an asylum for having too bad of period cramps. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
It was a part of the body that wasn't talked about.
Well, yeah. Shame on you for claiming pain in your uterus. Jesus.
Yeah.
You know?
That doesn't exist. Well, and the thing is, like, you also have to look like a woman when she was under the property of her father, and then if her father passed, it'd be whoever was the next man in the house who could most likely like either be her brother or her uncle, next patriarch of the house. And then when she got married, she was moved from that to now her husband's property and everything. So yes, but here's the thing that I find interesting with spiritualism. This was a definitely very women heavy or movement, and now granted they try to make out like, oh, because it was in the women's sphere and women are nurturing and loving and caring, that's why they have a greater connection with spirits and blah blah blah. But because with the whole getting around like a woman talking in public, with the whole trance medium part, with the whole channeling spirits, it was now considered okay because when they were talking on stage, it wasn't technically them talking, it was spirits talking on stage.
And I feel like when people benefit, like the audience is benefiting off of, talking to Uncle Joe Schmo from Kokomo that died, because they're benefiting off of it, suddenly it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. No, it was okay now because it wasn't really the woman who was talking, it was whatever spirit. And actually, this is in some ways where people feel like there was a possibility that a lot of mediums might have utilized this to actually speak their mind and speak their ideas, but they made it sound like, oh, it's not me, it's my guide or the spirits who think this. And it's very interesting how a lot of these spirits had very similar ideas to like the women's movement or reforming or suffragettes and everything. And it's like strangely lining up really well, but it gave them a moment to actually speak their own mind. But they were like, it's not me, it's the spirits talking. I'm not saying this, they're saying this, and they're like, oh, it's okay. She doesn't know what she's talking about, it's the spirits talking.
Well, also, though, you have to think, obviously if they're doing public events, they also did private events where they would communicate with the dead, which, let's be real, that was probably some really good money. At that time, women had 2 jobs. Well, maybe 3, technically. You could be a nurse, you could be a teacher, or you could be a stay-at-home mother. And that was it. That was your options. Or you could be
in the 1840s, nursing was still kind of
that's what I mean. But
gray area.
Or you could be a prostitute. Literally, that would be the only entrepreneurial. I've said it in the past. That probably would have been me. because I'm definitely not going to be a housewife, you know what I'm saying? So for them to get this spiritual movement going, and they actually probably had a decent living off of it and wages, it was probably like grand. It was probably grand for them. They probably were like, great, I don't have to live in the box of society's rules at this point.
Well, it's interesting because even though it gave them some freedom, they still had limitations. Like, and with the charging and everything, like doing private events, which was probably very lucrative and everything.
Oh, I bet.
I think they got around that idea of charging everything, where on one hand people would have been like, "Oh my God, I'm working," but it was probably seen as a higher calling to be doing this, so that's okay. Yeah. Because this is a higher calling and you're doing this for the greater good of others, they would probably more likely, instead of like a salary, it'd be more like they would have patrons.
It was probably almost more priestly, almost, don't you think, in a way of like.
Well, because they were usually almost like they were looked at as these like virginal holy beings of like. And that put, I think that probably put a lot of pressure on them, because you see later with the Fox sisters, the publicity and the media and just being basically on performance 24/7. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if them walking around and people are like, "Oh my God, it's the Fox sisters. Can you talk to my like dead aunt or something?" Unfortunately, drove them to drink. Yeah. Like it, and they were still pre-teens when this started, so they grew up dealing with this. It wasn't something they could. Yeah, basically like kid celebrities and everything.
And well, yeah, we've all seen what happens to the Disney stars. My God, you know what I mean? Don't ever put your kid in acting, because it just messes them up. But similar, I mean, you literally would. Sorry, Eilfie's like, what? You have these kids that are like thrown into the limelight. They're probably also, like you said, as much good as there is, there's also bad publicity. You know, when you're in the forefront of an audience and on newspapers and whatever else, and it probably got to
believers, but then like I said, you had the skeptics, you had the scientists who were trying to disprove them, and they put them through many different tests to try to prove that they were faking it. That was very embarrassing to them. I mean, they tied them to chairs, they tied their legs to the chair legs. Now granted, they never crossed the lines of ever actually really touching or anything, because that would like propriety and everything. But they would have, I think women would they would have the women put them behind curtains, and they would check their clothes and check to see, and it was like very embarrassing being put through these tests. But they also had to go through these tests to continue to prove like, no, we're not faking, we're doing it. See, if you have our legs or arms tied down, you still gain raps and knocks and everything. But I could see that just being just a lot of stress.
Which is so stupid, because if you're a paranormal investigator and you're asking an energy to make noise, what good does it do if my leprechaun foot is loose? You know what I'm saying? Like, for God's sake.
Because a lot of them are figuring like, okay, they must be like cracking or popping joints or something, or making noises. We'll just tie them down so they can't do that and make noise. And it's just it's just it's sad to see like they were subjecting these people to it. Now granted, yes, the mediums should be, I think it was always, it's good to question, but I think it was more like hardcore, no, we think you're just faking it and we're going to prove it no matter what. And it's like, okay, now you're going a little extreme.
Well, and this is interesting, and I have a lot to say on this, but I'm going to be careful with what I say. This sort of started another movement. So you have like this, it's sprung two movements. People that are understanding, cool, we can communicate with the dead, so it starts a movement. But then there's another side of it where mediums or psychics are now seeing these people make all of this money. And that's now where all these psychics start popping up all over the United States, because they're like, oh, I got to get a piece of the pie. I got to make some money off of this. There's a need, there's a want for it. And then, of course, unfortunately, you're going to get, yes, legitimate ones, but you're going to also get ones that are, frauds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And here we are. And here's where I'm going to rant for a second, because I believe in psychic abilities. I believe in mediums 100%. I'm very particular with people that I'm willing to exchange my energy with if they do have those abilities. But there's something that has just been getting on my nerves lately, and it's on our TikTok. So our TikTok is blowing up. It's doing really well. I've also, if you're not on our TikTok, I am now posting miniature PSB7 sessions. I just started that like 3 or 4 days ago, and they're going really well.
Yeah.
But what we're getting now is this same comment from people that is, "Hey, Ghost Girl Diaries, psychic medium here. I'm here to correct you what you said or did or blah blah blah," and it just makes me cringe so bad. Not that I don't believe in mediums. I do. I believe that some mediums are legitimate, but there's something about when someone introduces themselves as, "Hey, psychic medium here," it just makes me want to gag myself with Satan's pitchfork. You know what I mean? Like, it does.
I'm sorry. But I mean, so like I swear it's like, so it doesn't matter if it's online or apparently in a parking lot, you'll have the random medium walk up
it
to you.
is, and I'm like, should I block that word next on TikTok? Like, I don't want to, but it's like,
wait, have they been like, wait, I can cleanse you for like 500?
No.
Have they offered you anything?
No, but by the way, after we did that stream, one of my friends calls me and she goes, "Hey, I was at Walmart," and she's in Colorado, by the way. She didn't see my stream, but she's like, "This psychic came up to me and she wanted to give me a reading," and I was like, "Please tell me you didn't do it."
Oh, hell no.
She's like, "Oh, I did it," and I was like, "Why did you do that?" So she's like, "I don't know, it just made me feel better." I was like, "How much did you pay?" She was like, $75. I was like, "Oh God."
No.
And then I was like, I don't know what she's gonna do,
Well,
but
she got
like,
off light a bit.
I said, "Please don't give her more money." She calls me the next day, and the psychic said after her reading, she needed a cleanse for like $420, and I was like,
This is the problem. This is what gives mediumship and psychics a bad name. Like, I'm sorry, but a medium will not just walk up to you random and go, "I have a message for you." That's not how. No, there is etiquette. There's actually, honestly, etiquette in mediumship and in the psychic field and everything. It's like you don't go walking up to random people going like, "I have a message for you."
or I'll give you
That
the
would be
message.
$250.
Yeah. Oh, that's what happened to me. I've had them walk up to me so many times since my mom died. It's been horrible. I told you that. But this one was like, gave me all this information, and he was legit, and I felt really good afterwards. And then he's like, "Okay, so that'll be $200. I'm
like, I didn't ask for this.
You walked
we
up
did
to
not
me
make an appointment
while I was in line, grocery shopping, buddy. Okay, I did not ask you for all this information, but it's true. It's similar going on TikTok where they're like, "Psychic medium here," and then they correct me on like knowledge or like the main one that I got it on was I talked about John Wayne Gacy's the new house that was built on the old land because the old house was destroyed, so they built a new house. So I had a discussion going with paranormal investigators. You know, do you think that the land is haunted because the new homeowners say there's no activity? Do you really believe that after all the trauma that happened there? And then I have all these, "I'm a psychic medium and I can read the energy you're here." I'm like, "I'm sorry." It's just like, go away. Like, I don't know. It's just like, be a part of the conversation. You know what it is? It's that like egotistical attitude of, because I have this ability, I know more than everybody else in this thread.
Yeah, don't approach like that. Like, you can say like, "Okay, I get this sense when I'm watching it that it has this energy." Like, you can approach it that way, but if you, like you said, approach it as if I know all and see all, it's like, I call BS.
It's just not right. So just beware. You know, I do believe that people have abilities, but make sure you're using the right ones. You know.
Yeah.
And
well, yeah. Also, on like psychic mediums walking up to you randomly, if they first ask, "I have a message" and stuff, but it's one thing, and then you can be like, "Oh, that's great. Here, give me
that's great. That's what I'm
Oh
gonna.
yeah, I mean, like, I'm kind of shopping, so I probably don't want to hear about this. But if they exchange contact information, like, here's my card, I want to talk to you and everything, that's cool because then you can actually like find out what's going on. But if they like just like you said, jump right into all the information, that's like the big red flag of no, just
Well,
no.
and especially in my case, when I was going through so much trauma, like my mother was freaking murdered. Like it was dark. It's still dark. You know what I mean? And they sensed it. They knew. Like I'm not doubting their abilities.
Yeah.
But like, there's also a point where you need to like balance it out with like human freaking compassion. Like this person's going through some serious trauma. I should give her a message from her mother just to help her function day to day. Because there were days I couldn't. Rather than sit there and be like, oh, I told you I had this one woman that was like, it'll be $400. And I was like, well, good luck with that. You know what I mean? And she was like, she literally looked at me, Eilfie, and she looks me up and down, which by the way, I'm like, I don't wear like Louis Vuitton for God's sake. But like, she looks me up and down. She's like, you have money. You can afford it. And I was like, frickin' excuse me. Excuse me?
Oh no. No.
I was like, I want to give you the middle finger so bad, but we're in public. So,
we did not agree to anything. We did not get in. Like I did not make an appointment with you
it's
to
a shame
have a reading.
that you have
Like,
to
no.
warn people to be careful and beware. You know what I mean? It's a shame. It's a shame. You don't want to energy vampire like leeching onto you and like my friend. She was gonna pay the $400 the next day, and I was like.
No.
And then she tells me, I gave her my credit card number, and I was like, well, what you're going to do now is get on the phone with your bank, cancel your card, and dispute the charges. Idiot. You idiot.
That is the quickest way to be. No.
I know. So anyway.
I'm so sorry.
I
never give anyone your credit card number.
Let's start with that. Start with that.
Yeah.
So.
But no, I think honestly it's from when there have been shows where you have a psychic just randomly walk up to people like, I have a message. So I don't know if that gave suddenly people permission, like, oh, I can do that, and they'll be fine with it because they'll be like, am I on TV?
Well, you've worked with Chip Coffey. He's legit. Yeah. He's real. I've seen him live. He's real. I know he's real. You've worked with Michelle, right? Belanger?
Nope.
Is it Michelle Belanger? Is that her name?
Michelle Belanger.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's real. She's legit. I mean,
they also don't walk up to random people going like, I have a message.
That's what I mean. And then to give you that message, I need $835 specifically. Venmo me right now. Here's my Venmo. What? It's just a shame you have to be warned. It's just a shame. So physicians got involved with literally trying to debunk these poor girls. Talk about some trauma. No wonder they became alcoholics. My God.
Oh yeah, and then later on, oh God, I can't remember it was. Which one of them basically later on when she was much older and everything, they denounced it, going we faked it all. Let me show you how we did it. This is how I cracked my toes and everything, and publicly proclaimed this. We faked the whole thing. We were convinced to do this, and this is how we did it. It was just it started off just a game, and then it got serious and everything. But then she later recanted that. She's like, no, it was still real. And so I sometimes feel like she was paid off. That someone probably went hey, you seem to be struggling. Let us give you this money, and you tell them you faked it. Mm-hmm. And she probably went with it. She's like, oh yes, sure.
Or she was just burnt out from the publicity and just wanted it all to go away.
That too. I mean, and the thing is, even when she did that, it didn't stop it. Spiritualism was way beyond them at that point. Even her trying to go, no, we faked it. Everyone was like, nah.
It's too late.
It's too late.
Well, it's an actual movement. It's not even psychic ability, not even mediumship ability. I think what took it even further was people started contacting the dead themselves. Ouija boards became predominant. It became a thing. They started inventing using baby powder and flour on the floor to see if you can contact the spirit. Set up items like Eilfie said with string to see if it moved the night before. There's doors. I remember they would put rocks by doors to see if the rock would move. There's some real old school ways of doing things. It caused a legit movement where people were like, wait a minute, we can contact the other side. I mean, it's crazy for me specifically. I mean, I was already obsessed with paranormal. Like, my aunt's house was haunted growing up. You know, it was in our family for generations. The house was built by like my third great grandfather, and everyone lived in the house, and it was just haunted. Sorry, my dog's barking. And they get mad when they're locked out of my office for too long, so they yell. They're like, Mom, why don't you let me in? But now that my mother has died, because she, like, you know, I'm an only child, and it was just her and I have become so obsessed with, like, the other side. It's probably almost unhealthy at this point, honestly. But, like, it's true. Until you have that connection of just dire need to talk to somebody on the other side. You know, I have friends that died. I've talked about it in my book. Christian died. Like, he was, like, the love of my life. So I have people on the other side, but no one like my mom. You know, like, now that my mom's there, I understand the obsession that can be made with people and mankind with saying, hey, there's something else than this physical world that we're on. There's more to it, and how do I get in contact with it? So I can't imagine back in the day when it's first discovered that you can interact. It becomes this widespread obsession.
Well, yeah, it became this huge thing because you also have to remember where it started. There was already people creating or splintering into different branches of belief system and everything, and there was already this sense of you you didn't need a religious authority to speak to the other side. Like, you could do it yourself. So it was almost like the spiritualism was this perfect storm, because then you have to remember too, later on, it wasn't too much later that the Civil War happened, and there was high mortality rates and everything. So was this perfect storm of people who were grieving, who did want to be able to contact their loved ones. And now there were mediums and there were books on how to do mediumship that was telling you can talk to them, that there is a way to speak to them now. And then also, I mean, heck, we haven't even gotten into the whole spirit photography thing, because photography itself was this new amazing invention, and now the idea of, like, wait, we can photograph the dead just blew up as well. So this perfect storm of being able to talk to those that were lost in a time when there was such high mortality rates was this perfect thing.
That's true. Mortality rates for all kinds of different things, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Tuberculosis. I mean, literally, think about it. I mean, people were dying from just STDs because, I mean, penicillin wasn't even invented till after that, for sure. I can't remember.
And there was also very high child mortality rate. I mean, you were lucky if you reached adulthood, honestly.
Women giving birth, death.
Yeah.
Death, constantly.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, hemorrhage, man. Like, Jesus, it's amazing what science has done. Thank God we're here.
And like I said, there was a Civil War, and there were a lot of people who lost loved ones who sometimes they didn't even get a proper sending off. Like, would never get that final closure. But like a séance or a mediumship or a sitting now could give them that closure and everything.
That's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing how far we've come. It's amazing. Women in paranormal are so strong, and, you know, people like this make me proud. I believe them. I know that they came out later saying that it wasn't real. I think that it was either what Eilfie said, which was they were just trying to get paid off and move on, or they were just burnt out. But I think it was real. I really do. I don't think, you know, they were literally traveling all over doing these. There's no way. Especially at a time where
they were kids.
Yeah. They were probably being forced to do it too. Well, I mean, they probably enjoyed it to a point. But you're right. It started out as a game, and then all of a sudden now you are literally financially responsible for your parents and Uncle Joe Bob, who lives in Louisiana. Like, I mean, they probably had that much money at the time where they were literally taking care of all their extended family. And now this, like, major burden responsibility lays on their shoulders. They were probably like, I'm done.
Oh, yeah, and like I said, you also have to think, too, that they probably did feel like it was a spiritual responsibility, too. It was a higher calling that they had to heed to, and it wasn't until later in life, I think both of them at least one got married a couple times, then one got married and kind of settled down, that they, in some ways, just kind of wanted to disappear from the public eye and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not the easiest thing.
Well, they rose to fame quickly at a young age, and you can't. Yeah, I don't think at that age you can control it. I think it's in the fate of your elders' hands, and unfortunately, it's like I said with Disney stars, their parents are making money off of them. You know, working and acting is fun at some point. Doing the spiritualism is fun, but eventually it's going to burn itself out if you don't get a break. And I think you get kind of forced into child labor at some point, and it's just too much.
Oh yeah, I mean, you had people asking all sorts of questions, and questions either about loved ones, or about like stock
and think about but think about how depressing that could get after a while too. Of like, and not at that age you haven't learned to set boundaries with people or even yourself. And now you're talking about these probably like even horrific tales of how people died in like mills. I mean, think about how you get limbs chopped up and bleed to death. Like that, I mean, for a kid, that could get dark really, really quick, hearing about death constantly.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, even though back then death was definitely something that everyone was very aware of from an early age, I can only imagine hearing one story after another of loss. That would definitely weigh on you after a while.
Mm-hmm. And how do you deal with that trauma? Like they literally have trauma building up now, and they don't know how to undo it because they're so little. Mm-hmm. It's sad. It's sad. Well, do you have anything else you want to add to this stream? Because I think this is great.
No, it's one of those things where I would definitely say, if you're getting into paranormal, and especially like ghost hunting and investigating, I would highly recommend looking into this history and everything, because also it gives a lot of good ideas about how the development of investigating started. Like, why do we have the theories we have? And I would highly recommend people going for that.
Well, and where did it start? And comparing it to like where we're at now, it's like amazing.
Oh, it's great.
Because I can't imagine living in 1849, and that's crazy. Like, that's just, we're struggling here, and it's 2022, okay? Like
I like modern medicine, thank you.
Yeah, I know. I like penicillin, you know, like there's certain things you just kind of need, you know what I'm saying? And, this is a good stream. This was good. Eilfie, thank you, as always, for joining in with us. We appreciate you so much. One last thing that I just want to tie in. I've had some people complaining about audio levels on YouTube, okay? Let's chat about this really quickly, because it's a thing. We are live right now. When I upload this later, it is a raw live file. We are live, people. When I download this and upload it as a podcast, I have an audio stabilizer that stabilizes the audio, okay? If the live sessions bother you because our audio isn't perfect, because once again, we're live, hint, raw live, then I would suggest watching the podcast on iTunes, Spotify. We're on like 40 other channels, like literally anywhere there's a podcast, look Ghost Girl Diaries up, because that
podcast platform,
literally any platform, the audio will be adjusted. I cannot control when we're live. When we're live, I watch comments to make sure, you know, a cat obviously will let me know, you know, if audio's messed up. I do the best I can. If it bothers you, my suggestion is not leaving me a nasty comment, and instead going to a podcast platform and downloading the professional sounding audio. Okay, I think that's good. I think I said that nicely without being mean, even though I'm snooty.
Just chill with us during the live broadcast, and then listen later on the Spotify, and then you can hear everything.
Exactly. You know, just we like everybody's chatting. Cat's caught her leprechaun foot out. You know what I'm saying? Oh God. She's like, don't get me started. I have phantom pains, okay? Like, Jesus. Let me just say, Kat has very delicate feet, okay? And I don't know, I mean, Elfie spit. I don't know why her foot is so delicate. However, it crunched in a really bad way, and it sounded really bad.
Like
honestly.
something heavy just like dropped on it.
It was bad. But I told you, like, you're tired. It's like 4 a.m. We've been investigating, and I'm completely convinced it was a leprechaun. I swear. Woo! No, I was not on drugs. So that's why Krystal doesn't do drugs, because we don't want to know what she's like on drugs. You know what I'm saying? If she's sober and thinks she touched a leprechaun, it would be a really big concern if I was under the influence, you know what I'm saying? So, I get high on life. That's enough. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in with us. We had so much fun. Please follow us on TikTok. I want to hear your opinions on the new Spirit Box sessions. I am going to upload those miniature videos to the new YouTube channel, because we're still trying to build it. And I think if they go well, which they are, I might do a little bit longer sessions for the new YouTube channel, if that's something you guys are interested in. Like maybe 5 to 10 minute videos of Spirit Box. But I need to hear from you guys on YouTube and on, TikTok, because I don't want to do any kind of content you guys don't want to see. I want to do stuff you guys want to see. You know what I mean? But so far, people are like, do you like the Spirit Box sessions? What do you think about it?
Oh, I've been enjoying it. Mostly just because I love seeing the new tech and everything, and seeing it tried out, and it's just, it's a fascinating, like you said, you just get a little chunk. And I think that works great, because like if you listen for too long, it definitely becomes a lot of noise, but the little chunk is like perfect.
Yeah, I'm doing like 30 seconds. I think 30 seconds or less is really good. I'm trying to just get like 2 or 3 questions answered per session. I think that's enough. Just a little blurb, you know what I mean? A little blurb.
Well, also gets people really familiar with the tech and everything, and how it's used and whatnot. And honestly, also what questions do you ask?
And that's another reason I want people to comment too, is like, what do you want to know? Do you want me to ask a question for you? A lot of people, though, are asking me to connect with their deceased loved ones, and I'm not the Fox sisters, unfortunately. I'm not going to be, I will never, there's 2 things I'll never say that I can do, which is channel a loved one or like communicate with one of your loved ones. And I also don't like the people online that say that they're connecting with deceased celebrities. I
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't agree with it, and I don't like it. Because you just don't. Now, my guides, I talk to them all the time. I know their voices. They're familiar to me. I set boundaries. I know who I'm allowing in my house, in my spirit box. You know what I mean? But yeah, so a lot of people, they've been like, can you ask for my Auntie Emma? And I'm like, no, I can't. I'm sorry. I don't know who Auntie Emma is. And I would never claim to be able to do that. That's wrong. And I would never claim to be able to connect with Bob Saget. That's also wrong. Am I wrong? I mean, right, Elfie?
That's yeah. I mean, and the thing is like, everyone's like, oh my god, like, yeah, and like, no, there's still people grieving over the loss, and I don't think they want to see that. Don't do that.
It's too soon. It's too soon, kids.
Too soon.
Also,
some of them are way too soon.
Then someone was like, can you actually connect with John Wayne Gacy? Why would I want to talk to John Wayne Gacy? Why would I want to talk to Manson?
What would you get out of it? That's the other thing. What would you get out of it? It's just, that feels more like, oh yay, just to be, I don't know.
That's a no. That's a strong.
That's a no.
That's a no. I don't want to. Thanks. Do you want John Wayne Gacy in your house? Okay, that's what I thought. So anyway, yeah, follow us on social media. TikTok's going really well. We should have hopefully a new video up this weekend. Really short. I have a new session that's going to be coming out called. It's a really short video, little vlogs called Ghost Girls Dreams, which is essentially my guides coming to me in dreams, wanting me to give you guys information. Yep, so my first episode will drop probably tonight or tomorrow. It's a short one. It's under 10 minutes. My new videos are going to be short, but that's okay. So yeah, anytime I have these vivid dreams, you wouldn't believe. Eilfie's heard some of my dreams. They're unbelievably vivid.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm writing them down in my guides. In fact, the spirit box sessions on TikTok were not my idea. Those were from my guides. My guides told me to do that. And I was very hesitant. I was very like, you know what I mean? I was
Are
like,
you sure?
yeah, I was like, and then like, I've had some people badmouth my guides on, and then I get really defensive over my guides, you know, and I'm like,
Yeah.
So, but I'm like, they're like, calm down, it's fine. And I'm like, I'm not fine. Like, Jesus, you know? So,
No.
yeah,
But
so,
no.
but yeah, they're giving me, you know, they want me to like pass this information on. So yeah, Ghost Girl Dreams will be coming up, and just advice on how to be a better paranormal investigator. So I feel like this new channel is sort of taking heightened of, the old channel was literally like paranormal film lessons with Krystal, right? This new channel is like elevating your spirituality to make you the best paranormal investigator that you can be. I mean, we're going to be talking about like Dolores Cannon and like some of these spiritualists and movements too, and Eilfie has all her like little occultists that she loves because she loves her research, and Kat and I just do weird shit. You know, it's just who we are. Her leprechaun foot is always
Sounds
there.
like you're just like, you're doing weird shit in the back, and I'm trying to talk about this occult stuff that's very serious.
You know, it's funny though, because we were watching some of the footage back of the feature film that we shot, obviously the documentary, and Eilfie, you know, did all of the post-production work as far as like marking and labeling, you know, paranormal evidence, which is just an insane job in itself. Thank you, Eilfie, my God. But, you know, Eilfie had told us, one, wow, you guys got some amazing evidence, like shit I've never seen before. And two, she was like, you guys are hilarious when you're investigating together, because we did a couple of things, like Kat even replayed it back last night. We don't even remember when we're doing this stuff.
Were you that delirious at that point?
Oh my God, we're filming in this haunted graveyard, and like we're saying like we're it's kind of cool because paranormal is so serious. Like, it is dark, you know, you're dealing with the dead. Like, it is dark and it is scary. And it is kind of cool that we bring in some humor. I feel like that's like a different spin that people haven't done before.
You kind of have to have humor in this field because, like you said, it is so dark sometimes, where it's just like, no, really, you gotta laugh sometimes or you'll cry. And I think that's sometimes missed in TV because they're like, it's serious, be serious. I'm like, no, it's not that serious.
It's not that serious, especially when they want to interact with you back, or when Kat and I are like, don't remember saying weird shit, you know what I'm saying? So
especially when they get sassy with you, it's like, really?
Yeah, it's not a demon, it's Captain Sassy Pants over there, you know what I mean? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Once again, make sure you're following us on social media. Make sure you're subscribed to our new YouTube channel. You can find all of that at ghostgirldiaries.com. When you subscribe to the new YouTube channel, make sure that you turn notifications on, because that is a new little option that they have with subscribers. And yeah, next week it'll be Kat and I think we're talking like star seeds or something weird. Kat and I always pick these like really weird, outlandish topics. And
it's always fun to hear you guys talk about it.
No more ayahuasca, okay? Like
oh my God.
So many people were messaging us on Twitter, like they were like, that was the most hilarious stream like I have ever heard in my life. Like, Jesus.
Stuff is coming out both ends. It's like, wait, what?
Well, you know, we just wanted to paint a picture, God. You know? Thank you guys
yes,
so
you painted
much.
a very detailed picture.
Eilfie, oh my God. Thank you guys so much for everything. Make sure you download this podcast. It will be available tomorrow. You know, and as
We're back from the dead. Back from the dead. Back from the dead.